You were taught a lie. They told you clarity builds trust. They told you honesty earns respect. They told you openness makes people loyal. Niccolo Machiavelli knew better, because history doesn't reward the understood, it rewards the unreadable. Power does not come from being known, it comes from being miscalculated. And the moment people think they understand you, they stop fearing you. Why visibility is a liability. Most people expose themselves without realizing it. They explain their motives, their emotions, their boundaries, their intentions. They call it being real. Machiavelli would call it strategic suicide. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. People don't respect truth. They respect what they believe you might do. When your inner world is visible, your range of threat collapses. You become predictable. Predictable becomes manageable. Manageable becomes disposable. Mystery is not secrecy for its own sake. Mystery is denial of information in a world that exploits information mercilessly. The fear of the unknown is stronger than force. Force requires effort. Fear maintains itself. Machiavelli understood this centuries before psychology named it. It is much safer to be feared than loved. But here's what people misunderstand. Fear is not created by violence. Fear is created by uncertainty of consequence. When people don't know how far you'll go, what line triggers retaliation, whether forgiveness is possible, they act carefully. Mystery multiplies fear without action. You don't need to threaten. You just need to withhold reassurance. Silence as strategic pressure. Most people break silence because silence feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is weakness leaving the body. When someone provokes you and you respond emotionally, you confirm they reached you. When you explain yourself, you signal vulnerability. But when you remain silent, you create a vacuum. And nature hates a vacuum. People fill silence with imagination, and imagination always exaggerates threat. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." Silence controls appearance, and appearance controls power. Why explaining yourself is submission. Every explanation is a request for approval, even when disguised as logic. When you justify a decision, a boundary, a refusal, you implicitly say, "I am accountable to your understanding." Machiavelli would call this a reversal of hierarchy. Power flows toward the one who does not need agreement. When you stop explaining, people don't argue more, they retreat. Because arguments require access, and silence denies access completely. Controlled coldness versus cruelty. Machiavelli is often misunderstood as advocating cruelty. He didn't. He advocated emotional discipline. Cruelty is reactive, coldness is calculated. A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interest. This isn't immorality, it's realism. You don't owe emotional availability to those who haven't earned loyalty. Mystery protects you from emotional taxation. The power of being misjudged. Weak people panic when misunderstood. Strong people exploit it. When others misjudge you, they underestimate you, they miscalculate timing, they expose their strategy. Machiavelli preferred being feared wrongly than loved accurately. Why? Because fear keeps distance. Distance preserves leverage. Correcting perceptions is unnecessary labor. Let them believe whatever makes them careless. Unpredictability as authority consistency is praised by the weak. Unpredictability is respected by the powerful. If people can predict your forgiveness, your tolerance, your breaking point, they will exploit it. Machiavelli warned, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." But the deeper lesson is this: change your conduct without explanation. Let patterns break. Uncertainty restores hierarchy. Why being liked weakens? You being liked requires availability. Availability removes scarcity. Scarcity creates value. Power requires controlled distance. Machiavelli never trusted popularity. Popular men are dependent men. The need to be liked makes you negotiable, emotionally exposed, strategically compromised. Mystery removes that need entirely. The final discipline. Staying mysterious is not silence alone. It is selective speech, emotional restraint, denial of predictability, refusal to clarify unnecessarily. You don't vanish, you condense. Machiavelli understood that power is not loud, power is felt. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. Mystery makes you both. Final truth. In a world obsessed with expression, withholding is dominance. In a culture of transparency, opacity is protection. And in an age where everyone explains themselves, the most dangerous person is the one who doesn't. Because no one knows what they will do next, and that uncertainty controls the room. Most people think mystery is an aesthetic, a vibe, a style, something you look like. They are wrong. Mystery is not how you dress, it's how little of yourself you allow the world to consume. And in a world addicted to exposure, the person who withholds becomes dangerous. Carl Jung understood this long before social media, long before oversharing became a virtue. He warned us that the moment you become fully visible, you become controllable. Everything that is conscious wears out. What is unconscious remains alive. Carl Jung. And that is where power lives. The illusion of transparency. You were taught that openness is strength, that explaining yourself makes you trustworthy, that being emotionally available makes you respected, that if people understand you, they will treat you better. That belief has quietly ruined you. Because transparency does not create respect, it creates predictability, and predictability is the enemy of power. The more people know how you react, what hurts you, what you fear losing, what you crave, the easier you are to manipulate. Jung called this the persona, the social mask you wear so others will accept you. But here's what most people never realize. The persona is not power. The persona is permission to be used. The persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. Carl Jung. The more you invest in being understood, the more you abandon the part of yourself that commands gravity. Why mystery creates psychological dominance. Human beings fear what they cannot categorize. We are wired to scan for patterns, to predict outcomes, to feel safe when we know what someone will do next. Mystery interrupts that process. When people cannot read you, they project onto you. They imagine worst-case scenarios, they overestimate your depth, they assume intent where there is only silence. Jung understood this projection instinct deeply. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When you stay mysterious, people don't see you. They see themselves reflected back, and that makes you powerful without effort. The shadow advantage. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. Most people overshare because they are afraid of their own shadow. The shadow is the part of you that does not explain, does not apologize, does not seek approval, does not perform morality for validation. Jung didn't see the shadow as evil, he saw it as unintegrated power. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Mystery is not about hiding weakness, it's about refusing to externalize your inner world for public consumption. When you constantly explain yourself, you leak shadow energy. When you remain silent, contained, unreadable, the shadow stays integrated. And integrated shadow feels like calm intensity, emotional weight, psychological presence. People sense it instantly, they just don't know why. Why silence feels threatening. Silence unsettles people for a reason. When someone provokes you and you don't react, their nervous system panics. Because silence removes feedback, no reassurance, no resistance, no emotional signal to calibrate against. Jung wrote extensively about this discomfort. The unknown is the realm of projection. Your silence becomes a canvas, and their imagination paints you as colder than you are, more calculating than you are, more dangerous than you are. You didn't threaten them. their psyche did. That is real psychological leverage, the death of the explainer. The moment you stop explaining yourself, something shocking happens. People either step up or disappear. Both outcomes are victories because explanation is submission disguised as communication. Every explanation says, I need you to agree with me for this to be valid. Mystery says, my internal logic does not require witnesses. Jung warned about this compulsion clearly. Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself. But here's the paradox. The more important something is, the fewer people deserve access to it. Mystery is not isolation, it is selective revelation. Why being misunderstood is a power move. Weak people fear being misunderstood, strong people expect it. Because misunderstanding filters the audience. Jung himself lived misunderstood for most of his life. He withdrew, he refused explanation, he allowed silence to do the sorting. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. When you accept yourself, you stop auditioning for approval, and when you stop auditioning, people start watching. The final transformation. Staying mysterious is not a tactic. It is an identity shift. You stop being emotionally loud, psychologically accessible, socially predictable, and you become internally sovereign, externally unreadable, energetically heavy, not aggressive, not cruel, not arrogant, contained. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming whole by no longer fragmenting yourself for others. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and who you truly are does not need to be fully seen. Power does not shout, power does not explain, power does not rush to clarify. Power waits, and in that waiting, the world adjusts. Final thought. In a culture obsessed with exposure, mystery is rebellion. In a world addicted to noise, silence is authority. And in an age where everyone is visible, the most dangerous person is the one who is not. They lied to you, not because they hated you, but because they were afraid of what you might become. They told you, be open, be honest, be understood, be relatable. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this for what it was, a training program for the weak. Because the world does not elevate those who reveal themselves, it consumes them, and the moment you become fully visible, you stop becoming dangerous. Why exposure is decay. Modern man believes visibility equals existence. If you are not seen, you are nothing. If you are not understood, you have failed. If you are not approved, you are wrong. Nietzsche despised this instinct. Everything that is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil. What he understood, and what terrifies most people, is that exposure is not courage. Exposure is often desperation. When you reveal everything, your intentions lose tension, your emotions lose weight, your presence loses gravity. Mystery is compression, and compression is power. Distance is not coldness, it is rank. Nietzsche believed deeply in order of rank, not equality, not fairness, not comfort, hierarchy. And hierarchy begins with distance. The pathos of distance is the essence of all aristocracy. Distance is not cruelty. Distance is self-respect made visible. When you explain yourself constantly, you lower yourself to the level of those demanding explanation. When you stay silent, you force others to rise or retreat. Both outcomes serve you. The weak fear. Silence. Silence terrifies the herd because silence creates space, and space forces confrontation, not with you, but with themselves. Nietzsche saw the herd clearly. Madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, nations, and ages, it is the rule. The herd demands noise. Noise reassures them. Noise dissolves hierarchy. Silence restores it. When you do not react, they feel ignored, they feel uncertain, they feel small, and uncertainty is unbearable to the weak. Why explaining yourself is slave morality. Nietzsche separated humanity into two moral systems: master morality, self-defined value, slave morality, reactive justification. When you explain yourself, you are asking permission to exist. That is slave morality. Master morality does not argue, it declares. What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power. Does explaining heighten your power, or does it dissolve it? The strong do not clarify themselves to the weak. They allow misunderstanding to filter the audience. The strength of being misunderstood. Nietzsche was misunderstood his entire life. He did not correct it, he welcomed it. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. To be misunderstood is to be free, because understanding invites possession. When people understand you, they think they own you, your motives, your reasons, your limits. Mystery protects the chaos that creates you. The will to power is containment. The will to power is not domination of others, it is domination of oneself. It is restraint, patience, delayed expression, controlled withdrawal. Power leaks through emotional excess. Nietzsche warned against this constantly. The weak have revenge as their instinct. Explaining yourself is often revenge in disguise. You want to be seen. You want to be validated. You want recognition. The strong do not need to be seen. They need to become. Why being liked is a trap. To be liked is to be safe, and safety breeds mediocrity. Nietzsche despised comfort. The secret of harvesting from existence the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment is to live dangerously. Mystery is danger, not violence, not chaos. Danger to expectations. When people cannot predict you, they hesitate, they recalibrate, they respect. Respect does not come from warmth, it comes from unsettled hierarchy. Unpredictability is creative force. Consistency is worship by systems, but systems exist to control. The individual must remain fluid. One repays a teacher badly if one always remains nothing but a pupil. Do not let anyone learn you completely. Patterns are weapons against you. Break them. Sometimes respond, sometimes vanish, sometimes forgive, sometimes cut off completely. Never explain the logic. Let them feel it. Solitude sharpens mystery. Nietzsche believed solitude was essential, not loneliness, solitude. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. Distance clarifies vision, silence sharpens instinct. Those who cannot follow will call you cold. Those who cannot reach you will call you arrogant. Let them. Their resentment is confirmation. The final becoming. Staying mysterious is not hiding, it is refusing reduction. You are not here to be digestible. You are not here to be relatable. You are not here to be approved. You are here to become something rare. Become who you are. And who you are does not need to be explained. Power is not loud. Power is not warm. Power is not accessible. Power is contained. Final truth. In an age of exposure, privacy is rebellion. In a culture of weakness, distance is strength. And in a world that demands explanation, the most dangerous person is the one who refuses, because they are not finished becoming. You were trained to speak too much, to explain your feelings, to justify your decisions, to defend your reactions. Seneca the Younger would have called this a failure of discipline, because the man who cannot contain himself will never contain his fate, and the one who exposes his inner life to everyone places his power in the hands of strangers. Why self-exposure is weakness. Most people confuse honesty with strength. They believe revealing pain makes them human. Explaining themselves makes them fair. Emotional openness makes them respected. Seneca rejected this entirely. He who reveals his secrets to another makes himself that other's slave. Every unnecessary word is a transfer of control. When people know what unsettles you, what angers you, what you hope for, what you fear losing, they no longer need to attack you. They only need to wait. Mystery is not deception. Mystery is self-possession. Silence is the mark of the trained mind. The undisciplined man reacts immediately. He speaks to discharge emotion. He explains to relieve discomfort. He argues to escape tension. The disciplined man does none of this. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Silence is delay perfected. When you do not respond instantly, emotion loses authority, impulse loses momentum, the other person loses leverage. You are no longer being moved, you are choosing. That choice is power. Why explaining yourself is a loss of command. Every explanation assumes a judge. When you explain, you place yourself on trial. Seneca warned against this reflex. A wise man is content with himself. Contentment requires no witnesses. If your decision is sound, it needs no defense. If your boundary is necessary, it needs no apology. Those who demand explanation are rarely seeking understanding, they are testing control. The Stoic distant stoicism is often mistaken for emotional numbness. It is not. It is emotional sovereignty. Seneca did not advise withdrawal from life. He advised withdrawal from reactivity. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Mystery protects you from imagination, theirs and yours. When you do not narrate your inner world, others cannot manipulate it. You cannot dramatize it. Distance creates clarity, and clarity creates calm authority. Why being misunderstood does not matter. Only the insecure fear misunderstanding. The Stoic understands something deeper. You are not responsible for other people's interpretations. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Craving to be understood is a form of need. Need erodes dignity. When people misunderstand you, correct nothing, explain nothing, react to nothing, your life will answer for you. Control what is yours, release the rest. Seneca divided life simply: what is within your control, what is not. Your words are within your control, your silence is within your control, your restraint is within your control. Reputation is not. No man is free who is not master of himself. Mystery is mastery. It is the refusal to let external noise dictate internal order. Why restraint creates authority. Loud men seek dominance. Quiet men possess it. When you speak less, your words gain weight. Your presence sharpens people. Listen for meaning. Seneca advised brevity not as style, but as power. Let your speech be better than silence, or be silent. Most people fail this test. They speak to soothe themselves. The Stoic speaks only when speech improves the situation. The discipline of emotional privacy. Not everyone deserves access to your inner life. Sharing indiscriminately is not generosity, it is negligence. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Mystery is a filter. Those who respect it remain. Those who demand access reveal themselves. You lose nothing either way. Why calm is intimidating anger is familiar. Calm is unsettling. When you remain composed under pressure, others feel exposed, others lose rhythm, others escalate alone. You do not need to dominate, your stillness does the work. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Calm comes from not needing an outcome, and the man who needs nothing cannot be controlled. The final Stoic advantage. Staying mysterious is not secrecy, it is economy. Economy of words, economy of emotion, economy of reaction. You do not spend yourself unnecessarily, you do not leak strength, you remain intact. Life is long if you know how to use it, so is power. Final truth. In a world that overshares, restraint is distinction. In a culture that reacts, calm is dominance. And in an age that demands explanation, the strongest man is the one who owes none, because he governs himself, and the man who governs himself is already untouchable.